55 games down. 29 of them have sucked. There's 107 left. Does that mean we got 57 more games that will suck? I just can't stand these losses like yesterday. Talk me off the ledge, chatters. Maybe Jeff can do it. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, the look on his face says it all. It's kind of how we all feel. It's kind of how we all react every time the Rangers have runners on base with nobody out and somebody, in this case Adolis Garcia, swings at two pitches that are clearly below the strike zone. It's kind of how we feel every time they miss an opportunity offensively and don't pick up the starting pitching that has been so good. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan here, and for 30 years almost, I was a part of a partnership with the team. So I really wasn't allowed to express this, but damn it, Jeff, it's getting me at this point. And I know we also, before that, I began as an objective journalist, and consequently, you know, there's always a story, whether it's a good story or a bad story, there's always a story. That's sort of how we both were raised in this business. But this job is a little different. We're there for you, with you as a fan. So I'm looking at it as from a fan's perspective, Jeff. And I don't think frustrated even begins to sort of approximate how we're beginning to feel about the way this offense is performing. Help me.
I wish I could. There's not a lot. I tell you what.
Oh,
here's tonight's giveaway is the Bruce Bochy truck bobblehead.
Okay.
So maybe this will make you happy, make you smile.
I hope it does. Aw.
Here we go.
Look at that.
There we go.
Oh, that does bring back some fond memories, doesn't it? Look at that, baby. All right, go to the game tonight.
Definitely large.
Go to the game tonight, even if you know, I don't know if they'll hit at all, but by God, this will be a hit. You can get one of these if you go tonight. So, and that was so much fun, and it was so recent, and maybe that's one of the reasons it's more than just frustrating. It's like we just know that these guys can do it, right? We really do, and they can't. They haven't. I don't want to say they won't, but it feels like they won't.
Well, you know, they could be who they are. I mean, this isn't a small sample size, you know, I think the frustrating thing is that for the most part, it's the same guys, from 23. You know, it's like, how did they? What has changed? Why are the Rangers unable to get the most out of, being very specific, Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia?
Yeah.
You know, and we can throw darts at Jock Peterson. It's easy to do that. He's got a cast now that I think can stop him. But, you know, he's batting 131 when he went on the injured list.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you've seen good things from a lot of guys. You know, Jonah Heim, I think, is doing well. Jake Berger's been really good since he's come back from the minor leagues. Josh Young, as inconsistent as it seems at times, he's, you know, probably their most consistent hitter. You know, him or Wyatt Langford, who's averages below 255, but he seems to hit so many balls hard.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then Josh Smith is kind of on a little bit of a tailspin, it feels like. But, you know, those guys have been hot. They've been doing it. It's really the two guys. And then it's worth mentioning, you know, this team right now is functioning without Corey Seager. And they're not functioning very well.
No.
And it looks like he's going to get going here and be activated during this homestand. He took live batting practice yesterday, and Evan was out there running. Evan Carter, who's another guy who's going to be back not as soon, I talked to Evan in the dugout yesterday after he finished running. I was like, how long have you been going? He said, oh, we've been running. I said, well, how was that? He goes, it was about 60%. So he called it jogging. I said, how long have you been running? He goes, well, it's really jogging.
Jogging. So, yeah.
He's not quite there yet. Seager, you can get back sooner. And I think it's advantageous in the Peterson injury in this way. Corey can come back in DH.
Right. It helps.
If the Rangers really want him back and he feels like he can hit, but maybe he doesn't feel like he's quite ready for the field, just let him DH, because the starting DH is going to be out till July. So there's an opportunity to get Corey Seager into the lineup, ease him back into shortstop. So anyway, if you're looking for a reason to think good things are ahead, it's because Corey Seager's coming back.
Yeah,
soon.
and we'll dive more into that and what effect he might have on this team coming up a little later in the show. I think the thing that troubles me even more than, that it was just 2 years ago that everybody was coming through in a big way. Just 2 days ago, Adolis Garcia came through in a big situation, right?
Sure.
And I must admit, on Sunday, as I'm sitting there watching the game, I'm thinking, oh, crap, here's a chance, but Adolis is up, and he came through in a big way.
Yeah.
Came through in a big way,
yeah.
And that was some of the point that Boch made about putting him and Simi down in the 8 and 9 spot. Look, big opportunities come up for every spot in the batting order. It did there. And Adolis came through in a huge way with that 2-run double. But I just thought maybe that would have a little carryover. I get it. Gossman's great.
He was.
Gossman was really good yesterday.
He throws so many strikes. That's the thing. You're going to get a strike, and you only get three of them. In at bat, and this is something that I hear a lot of guys talk about is you don't have to swing at every strike.
Right.
Because there are some strikes that are going to get you out. You still have to be selective against a strike thrower. And after 3 innings, Kevin Gossman had thrown 23 pitches.
Jeez.
I've never seen a number that low.
Wow.
And he gave up a hit in that. I just could not believe that number. But some of it is Gossman's doing. He was able to get outs, and then he has a split. So as the game went along, he started relying on that split finger, and it was getting guys or creating weak contact. And his last inning was the 8th, and there were 3 fly balls that were hit to medium to deep parts of the outfield, but they just didn't have enough on them because they were off of his splitter, and the guys were just not getting there. So I guess another positive, and it was mentioned in the chat. Alejandro Osuna, man.
Yeah.
2 hits yesterday. He's playing a solid left field. His family was, most of his family was there. Turns out he has a twin brother.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. He said, he was asked who was there. He's talking. Girlfriend, dad, mom, twin brother.
Sister, yeah.
I know he had a twin brother. I knew he had, his brother, Roberto, who, is another story for another time, but he's pitching in Japan right now. But anyway, he talked about afterward. He said, no, I guess his family was like, I kept asking him, are you nervous? He's like, no, not really. And we're like, why? He's like, because big league spring training. He really took advantage of that.
Yep.
A lot of these guys go into spring training as non-roster invitees, not expecting to make the roster. No, they're not going to make the roster. I'm not saying they're just there because they have that chance. There are things to be learned, and Alejandro took advantage of it. He listened to the veteran guys. They made him feel at ease, and he had success, and he stayed. I mean, you would expect him, honestly. It's like you look at that list before camp starts, like, he's probably going to be the first wave of cuts.
Sure.
Hell no, he made it all the way to Arlington for those exhibition games.
Yeah.
They loved him. So, opportunities there, you take advantage of it, and he did that. And look, he's batting sixth. I thought they might. I know they had done the Garcia Simeon thing, 8-9. I was like, well, Osuna, maybe they go ahead and just drop him down there at ninth. Nope, sixth. He batted with in a big spot in that game Sunday in the ninth inning and struck out. Anyway, so feel good about that. That's kind of an exciting.
It is.
time.
And look, we as recently as 2023, when these trucks and that parade was earned, we saw a young guy come up in an unlikely call-up. I mean, a call-up that felt like it might have been a little bit too early and spark the team. And that guy's name is Evan Carter. Now, he hasn't been that great since, mostly because of injury, but he was the spark for that team, the little savior, they called him. So there's a chance that a guy like Osuna, who not only has shown plate discipline, he's a plus defender. He's got a couple of hits yesterday when nobody else could off Gossman. And he brings an energy and a vibe and a smile and a joy to that clubhouse, which, look, at this point, it can use that, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is beaten down. Pitchers, starters, relievers, the position players I know are frustrated. They have to answer the same questions pretty much every day. Hey, why was that guy so good? Why are you guys so bad? And they're harder to track down. So I think they're tired of it. They just need to. I had two long conversations yesterday before the game. One was with Brett Boone.
Okay, you did.
And one was with Chris Young. And Brett is in today marks 3 weeks since he was his first game, and he's still trying to drive home that these guys need to they still need to watch the game. They need to understand hitting. In the Sunday game, Garcia's at bat in the 7th inning was not good. I mean, he took, there were, I think it was let's say an 8-pitch at bat, and 6 of them were off the plate in the exact same location.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much the exact same pitch. And he kept fouling them off, which I guess is good, but they were all balls. That's where the White Sox were pitching him. And it's how after, let's say, 3 of them are you not able to pick up that pitch? And the simple answer from Boone was he's just not picking up not recognizing the pitches, so they want him to watch the games, all the players, understand what the pitcher's trying to do, but and he's so big on confidence. It seems like these guys are really in a fragile state right now.
Yeah.
A, they have no confidence, and B, the new hitting coach is not in a position to come in and just start barking orders and telling these guys
right.
Well, what they're doing is wrong. It's these guys worked in the offseason. They have the talent. This isn't a time to make major swing overhauls. You're making tweaks at this point. So you can tweak the approach a little bit. And I think that's what Boone is aiming to do. And he said you may not be able to turn a guy who walks 50 times a year into a 100 walk a year guy, but 58 walks, hey, that makes a difference.
Sure.
And 120 strikeout guy, 112 strikeout guy, that's a big difference. Those are more balls in play, more opportunities. So, and he acknowledged the team does not walk a lot. So you got to figure out how to put balls in play. And right now they're just not doing it. We'll save Chris Young for the second half, but he's really frustrated. So we'll continue
talk
this
about
conversation
that next.
But I see a lot of the questions in there. While we were talking about Carter and Seager, does Osuna stay? Probably when Seager is activated, I would say yes. I would think Krim would be the move there. I think that when Carter gets activated, unless Osuna's hitting 400, which, hey, maybe he will be.
Sure.
I don't know that he gets down. You do have, unfortunately, the ability to DFA Haggerty. Go with the hot bat, but Haggerty's been pretty good.
Yes,
so I don't know. It's a quandary. You still have the third catcher too. That's another area where I think the Rangers might have to finally budge on that one.
Yep. All right. Well, we got more to talk about. As Jeff mentioned, he had a long conversation with Chris Young, and he told you Chris Young is as frustrated as you are and as I am. So maybe he can help talk us off the ledge. Or heck, maybe we need to go talk Chris Young off the ledge. I'm not sure, but we'll discuss that and how Corey Seager can affect this offense as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
But now it's time to talk about one of John's favorite companies, LinkedIn.
Yes,
because
sir.
John here is a small business owner, and he and his wife, and they need to hire some folks sometimes. And you don't just want to hire 3 guys off the street or 3 ladies off the street. You want to hire quality people and get your job in front of the right candidates so that you can select from a better pool of candidates. And that's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. You can post your first job free at linkedin.com/Rangers. They take the hassle out of it. They get you out in front where you belong with people who you want to see your job listing. So, LinkedIn, everybody has an account because there are a lot of job seekers out there. But if you are an employer, this is your opportunity to post a job. And again, do it for free at linkedin.com/Rangers.
Hey, Stars fans, tonight is another game for your Dallas Stars, and it's really a big one. I mean, if the Stars win Game 4 in Edmonton, they're right back to where they were supposed to be, which is in charge of their own destiny, right? They will have won home ice advantage back, but they need this win. You need a simple approach to watching them win this game. So throw on your Stars, favorite Stars, whatever, sweater, jersey, jersey, whatever you got, and sit down and watch the game. It'll be fantastic. It always is. It's so exciting this time of year in the hockey playoffs. Oh, and the most important thing, grab yourself a Bud Light. I mean, look, I grew up on Budweiser, and then ultimately everybody invented the light beers, and I really became a Bud Light fan when it was not cool. I don't know, maybe it's still not cool to like Bud Light. But when it was not cool to like Bud Light, I liked it anyway. And people would say, "You're drinking Bud Light?" And I'd say, "Yeah, because I want it." So you should get yourself some Bud Light tonight. It's the beer I like, Bud Light. It's easy to drink. It's easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 and over, please. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
I think it's okay to like Bud Light again.
It is. Have they reduced the stigma?
They got rid of the woke situation and have gone with Shane Gillis and Post Malone.
Post Malone,
and
yeah.
Manning,
I saw that. Yeah.
And back to cookouts and barbecues and sitting in lawn chairs and drinking in the front yard. So,
yeah.
They're at least trying.
It's pretty much me with my black socks pulled up to my knees. Yeah, no, yeah. They do. They look like a couple old guys, Shane and Post there, a couple old guys that would say, "Get off my lawn."
Yeah, that's right.
They sit there. So, all right, good. So let's first talk about this Corey Seager return, Jeff, because, the thing we know about baseball, the thing we know about really baseball and football's the ultimate team game because there are so many guys that have to work in unison, right? Yeah. In concert. Of American big sports, baseball would be next, right? And what happens in those team games is it's very difficult for one player to make that much difference, right? And yet, Corey Seager seems to be that guy. And I suppose, I was thinking about it today working out, I suppose that, like, if Babe Ruth missed a whole bunch of time with injury or whatever, during his career, they were clamoring to get Babe Ruth back in that lineup. It wasn't the same offense without Babe Ruth or without Lou Gehrig, right? Guys like that, guys of that ilk. I'm not necessarily saying that's who Corey Seager is, but he is clearly the best offensive player on this team, absolutely one of the best offensive players in the game of baseball. So he has an effect, but can he resurrect the whole thing?
He can definitely, I don't know if he can completely salvage it, but they'll be a lot better. We saw in the first time he came off the injured list. First game back, he does great. Second game back, they end up losing the game, but he hit some balls hard against the Mariners. The next day they win. He had the big hit, the go ahead or the 2-run single that kind of started a 6-run inning. Go to Boston. Very good game the first time first game they win 6-1 or 6-0. Second game, another good showing for him. The team scores 4 runs and a loss. Then they kind of go a little sideways, but he was out of the lineup because it was bothering him. Takes 2 games off, comes back for that Saturday game at Detroit and hits 2 homers and a double.
Yeah.
And that kind of jump starts them to the series win. Now, after that, he went on the injured list. He did not play on the Sunday, but he is that good. And the players acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I wrote a story about it. And, can one guy mean that much to a team? And Jonah Heim said, when it's Corey Seager, yeah. So, yeah, he's a big guy. And maybe they're just waiting for that. I hope not, because they do need to be able to get on base. We talked about the lack of walks. They're 28th in walks, saw in the chat. They are dead-ass last in on-base percentage, below even the Rockies. Rangers have a .284 on-base percentage, 30th out of 30 teams in Major League Baseball. So there are issues getting on base. They need to do that. And, if Corey Seager is going to be healthy, you want guys on base that he can drive in. He can put himself on base.
Yeah.
It may, if he singles, it may take a home run to get him to make sure he scores with his leg injury. But still, he can affect the game in a lot of ways. So I would expect that he will have a major impact when he comes back.
Yeah, and so I know he did the sim game yesterday, right? Yeah, yes.
Live BP, yeah.
Yeah, live BP quasi sim game yesterday. What did Boach say, or was there any report after? What are we expecting? When it's going to be this homestand? Yeah,
yeah. It feels like it keeps getting pushed up because it was, the initial thought was the weekend series.
Okay,
but now I really do think that, and I don't know if this has been addressed or not, that the Peterson thing and the availability for DHing Seager could hasten his return. But, you got to see how he feels when he comes back today. He probably still needs to do some running. I don't know how much of that he did yesterday. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another round of live BP. Just a chance to see some pitches, make sure everything is all right. Because remember, it was the swinging that was causing the leg pain.
That's right.
It wasn't the running necessarily. It was the swinging, because it is a violent swing. I mean, everybody has a violent swing, it seems like. But Corey gives his all with just about every swing. So that's kind of where we're at. But I think it's very soon.
Yeah.
Very,
and that's the thing. I mean,
and look, they could give him until Friday, let's
say,
because there is the off day Thursday.
Yep.
Or maybe he gets activated tomorrow because there's an off day Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So he can get an automatic day off and rest it and then come back and be ready to go Friday.
Any chance today?
I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay.
I wouldn't rule it out, but it seems like they got to make sure it's right.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to go 15 more games without this guy.
No, and that was the thing. And remember, this all came to a head on that trip in Detroit, and I was there, and those were the two takeaways. One, it only hurts when I swing. That's sort of like, hey, Doc, I'm fine. It only hurts when I breathe. I mean, swinging is everything. And then was Boach's just steadfast statement, desire to make sure we let this thing, we let the recovery go long enough to make sure we clear this thing up. I mean, that is so important. And to your point, as long as he doesn't have to, I mean, if he can just DH, it just takes it less of a toll on the legs, obviously, than standing in, at the shortstop position for 9 innings.
100%. And then, it's turf out there. I know that there's dirt in the infield, but still, if you ask him back for a pop-up,
right.
Just, and it's not just straight line running. You've got to turn, you've got to run backwards, you've got to do all sorts of things. And he will be tested on all those things. Running the bases is generally the last thing they have to do before they go out on a rehab assignment, or in this case, before they get activated. So I think that we'll have to, there'll be a lot of curious people, I think, pregame today, just to see. But another day tomorrow wouldn't hurt anybody.
Nope.
Nope. Especially with the off day and then Friday, Thursday, and then get them geared up for Friday, the weekend. Then they're off the next 3 Mondays, maybe the next 4 Mondays. They're off at least the next 3 Mondays. So he'll be able to get some rest in there, and maybe he doesn't come back as a 6-7 game a week player. Maybe there is opportunity to give him Sunday off and then the Monday off day, so he's getting 2 days off with just missing one game. So it's time to, but it is getting close, and he needs to stay on the field.
So let's talk about your conversation with Chris Young. I know we're going to talk more about one of the things that truly frustrated him, which was the misinformation disseminated about Kumar Rocker, and we're going to get to that in the next segment. But I know that that's not the only thing, obviously, frustrating a very competitive man who had a long major league career and grew up a Rangers fan and led them to a World Series just 2 years ago and did everything that everybody thought needed to be done, addressed every need during the off season, and somehow it hasn't come to fruition, Jeff. It hasn't paid the dividend we were all expecting.
Yeah, the bullpen thing, the rocker to the bullpen thing, which we'll get to in a minute, set him off.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. Yeah, he was already fired up.
He was lit.
But then, because after we talked about that, I said, "Well, where is your level of concern at closer?" And he said, "My concern is with the offense."
Yeah.
He said, "We have guys that can get 3 outs that we believe in, and we'll get 3 outs. Chris Martin's going to be coming back. I saw him throwing off a flat ground yesterday. So the bullpen is not the primary concern here. It's the offense and all about the offense. And it's how he's wondering why. Also, the same group of guys that we talked about early on in the show in 23, it's the same group. How have they forgotten how to be productive? Why are they not productive? And is it a scouting thing? Is it how they prepare? I think really this is going to be a full what's the word, audit of everything that the Rangers do to get guys ready for games.
Yeah,
it's going to be
offensively.
It's going to be right. It's going to be looking at everything that happens. Even in the medical staff,
sure,
all of that stuff, the strength and conditioning, all of these things. It may just be something that they try to find that's changed, that these guys are no longer able to hit. And again, and as we've talked about, I think with Marcus, it goes back to the 03 postseason when all of a sudden these sliders were just being thrown in heavy doses and being swung at off the plate in heavy doses, and pop-ups, and he kind of salvaged things with his performances in Game 4 and Game 5 of the World Series, and so you felt good about him again. Finished third in the AL MVP. Hey, here he goes, and and started slow last year, not this slow, and just never got going. So he, at the end of last season, he was all excited about hitting the ball in the air more and making better contact. It just hasn't happened. So Chris Young wants to know why.
Sure.
Not just with him, but anybody who is struggling, and Adolis. And Chris Young was very adamant that they're going to stay in the lineup, though, because they're so good defensively.
Right.
If you're not scoring runs, you got to prevent them. And then he also said, and the same goes for Jock Peterson, when these guys are going good, there's nobody in the system who's better than them.
Right.
And I don't know that there's anybody right now in the system who is better than them in their current form. Really. I mean, I especially defensively, that's for sure. Justin Foscue can play second base, but he's down right now with an injury. And they've signed a bunch of, they re-signed Alan Trejo and, just some depth pieces.
Yeah, just pieces.
But, they don't have the guy. It's too early for Sebastian Walcott. So Chris is pretty fed up with the offense, and that's his singular focus right now.
Yeah, and so we will address some of the thoughts you have about that coming up, but also get to this management of the pitching staff, because the reality is, again, if you're not scoring runs, you got to make sure the other team doesn't score many either. And the pitching staff has done a great job doing that so far, but they'll need management, and we'll talk about how next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, dadgum and John, once again,
it's me first. It's Monarch Money. Monarch Money. What a great tool. That's what I want you to think of it as. It's a tool to help you manage but not only manage. It's a great management tool, like all the others. I remember the first of those out there. That was so cool. You just click and drag, and it's in, and you boom, and you know what you have. But this thing will help you grow your wealth too. That's the thing about Monarch Money. It's more than just managing your finances. It is helping you grow your wealth and become, sort of that financially independent and stable person you want to be. It's really hard in this day and age. Just the sheer number of subscriptions that we all pay for, right?
Right.
For all the different TV all of them have to be categorized and thought about. And, whenever we sit down and say, what are the bills this month? What do we think? It's like, I can't even remember them all. Monarch Money helps with all of that. Monarch Money, use the code DLLS at monarchmoney.com, and I guarantee you'll be happy you did.
Yeah, and they'll help you figure out how to buy a Rugged Road cooler.
Yeah.
It is cooler season.
Oh, yeah.
Now, no doubt about it. And Rugged Road is going to be where you want to turn if you're in the market for a cooler. They're lightweight, they're durable, and they float. So if you're a fisherman, an angler, if you're a float in the river type, just latch that thing onto your tube and go on down the river with the cold beverages and everything. So if you use the code DLS at ruggedroadoutdoors.com, you'll get 10% off your order. Again, we've been able to test drive the Rugged Road cooler here. And, anytime there's a watch party or an office get together, that Rugged Road is full with beer and drinks and ice, and they are ice cold, and it'll stay that way for up to 7 days. RuggedRoadOutdoors.com, DLS, 10% off.
So, man, yesterday was, I think, a classic example, and we've mentioned it once previously. These games where they're getting Jacob deGrom out of the game earlier than likely he wants, earlier than likely you want, but it's a management issue. And so yesterday, Jacob deGrom comes out after 5 1/3, and you're kind of like, what? Why? He's it's a 2-1 game. This is still so winnable. At that point, and that's where the decision becomes difficult, Jeff. But at that point, Boch has to look at it like, well, do we have a real chance against Gossman to win this game? Because if not, we just need to help Jacob, manage these innings. He's had, I think, a 7 and an 8 inning outing his last 2.
Right.
They've got to just watch him and get. Now, granted, let's not forget the fact that Jacob, wasn't his normal self yesterday. Obviously, he didn't have a strikeout.
Right.
For the first time in his major league career,
Crazy.
229 starts, he didn't have a strikeout yesterday. So, and you could see it in his face. You could see it in his body language. Yeah. He didn't like the way things were really going, and he was, in his mind, I'm sure, awful. And it was 2-1, right?
Yeah.
Awful. That's what awful renders or, yields when you're Jacob deGrom.
Right. Honestly, the first pitch of the game was telling. It was a fastball 97 right down the middle, and Jacob deGrom does not throw those very often.
And you saw his reaction.
And it was trouble. And he said, afterward, my mechanics were messed up again. I didn't feel good about him. He threw fewer sliders because of that, because when he flies open, it creates more torque, or I don't know what the word is. It's not.
It's
good.
always that he's flying open.
It's not as good for his arm. The fastball command, he said he didn't throw one fastball where he wanted to. He walked guys. He walked 2 guys back to back. It's like, man, what was going on here? The velocity was fine, but it was down too. And that is something else that he does when he knows his mechanics are right. He just doesn't throw it as hard. So And then there was a point there in the fifth where he threw a pitch and kind of like rubbed his hand on his glove, and then kind of did this and wiped it on his pants. It looked like he had a blister. It was like, oh boy, is this a blister? Hobie Milner got up right away, and Jacob finished the inning and then went back out. He said Jacob called it a hot spot. Don't know what that means, but apparently it's not a blister. Everything's fine. He'll be able to make his next start, which will come he should have 2 days off before.
Yeah, he'll have the Thursday
because there's
and
Thursday
the Monday
day off, and then the Monday. So we're looking at Tuesday to start that. It's a road. Is it a road?
It's road game somewhere, and then Washington. I can't remember.
Tampa, Washington,
Tampa,
Minnesota. So anyway, so he'll be a rested guy for those Rays at that minor league ballpark. So anyway, it makes sense. I mean, this team still does have postseason aspirations.
Absolutely.
I know it sounds crazy right now, but right now in the American League, there are 7 teams above 500. There's 1 in the East, 4 in the Central, and only the Mariners and the Astros in the West. And it's not like they're 1,000 games above 500. No. It's not huge. The Rangers are 4.5 games out of first place. Okay, as awful as things look offensively, the starting pitching, and early on the bullpen have allowed the Rangers to stay within striking distance. So Chris Young said it's wide open. The Rangers have to believe that. So they want Jacob deGrom available in September because they still believe they're going to be playing meaningful games.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are, and if Jacob deGrom's involved every 5th day, you got to like your chances in that one. You get Eovaldi tonight. He's been terrific. I guess that means that Leiter would go, or Malley would go on Friday. No, wait. What day are we?
Tomorrow.
Thursday.
Today's Tuesday. Then we have
so Malley would go Wednesday.
Malley, and then
off day. So anyway, there's a chance here for this team to still be very good, and they want Jacob deGrom to be a part of that. It's a lot easier to be good with Jacob deGrom than to be good without him. So yes, they're managing him.
And we've seen them managing, and Boach, we know, is a bullpen whisperer, but we've seen them, again, due in large part to injury, but we've seen them managing that. At the moment, it appears that Luke Jackson is not, and again, I don't know that he was ever officially named the closer, but he was fulfilling that role. And right now, we're seeing Luke come into the games earlier than in that 9th inning.
Yes. He's been pitching the big outs in the 6th there, a couple leverage spots. A lot of times when you demote or drop a guy out of the closer's role, that's where he ends up, and he works his way back up. So I think that Luke Jackson will still figure into a save mix at some point. He's still going to be getting big outs for the team, I believe. The one thing that he didn't do the other day when he came in was strike out Luis Robert. If he had done that instead of giving up a sacrifice fly, the game's different. I mean, the Rangers still won the game. But the point is, the Rangers they don't have that guy, and they could really use a guy who's going to go out there and shove, as they like to say, and strike a guy out. And it's like, well, who is that? Well, is it Emiliano Teodo, who's had some issues at AAA? The Rangers think they're related to the ABS, the automated balls and strikes. One of the trappings of that system is that hitters, especially at AAA, are smart enough to kind of work the system. If it's a ball, if it's a slider and it looks like it's going to be off the plate, they know they don't. Hey, just go ahead and take it. Let's take our chances with the ABS. And you see a lot of inflated walk totals at AAA these days, and for both the hitters and the pitchers. because at the major league level and even at AA, these hitters are going to chase a little bit.
Sure.
You see it all the time with the Rangers, for crying out loud. So I think that he's had some issues adjusting to that, and that the hitters are forcing him into the strike zone, and he'll make more mistakes. So
interesting. Yeah. So chase rates have to be down across AAA right now, based on that ABS.
And then one other name, we saw Mista asked about the rocker to bullpen theory. That was not my theory, by the way. I've never thought that Kumar Rocker should be in the bullpen. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, if the starter thing doesn't work out, all right. But right now he's too young, too talented, and too damaged, coming off of the Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
To start toying with the guy and ask a guy who's never done it before, hey, we want you to throw 2 days in a row in very high leverage situations.
Yeah.
I get that the fastball and the slider are good, but guess what? He's not really commanding those pitches either so far this season. So that's what set up Chris Young off. The USA Today report that the Rangers are considering it, that when he comes back from the IL, which should be within the next couple of weeks, that he's going to be the closer. Chris Young is very demonstrative about that, saying that that is not the case. He called it irresponsible journalism. He was pissed. Bruce Bochy was a little more diplomatic about it, saying, no, we haven't talked about it. Have we talked about him in the bullpen? Yes, but not closer. So Miss says, following up, does that mean John Gray goes to the bullpen? I would say that's 90%. I mean, I haven't had it with that much certainty, but all signs kind of indicate that, if you're going to have Cody Bradford back and Kumar Rocker back, there's your rotation depth. Just go and put John Gray in a role where he has excelled in the past. There are some people who don't know if he can be a closer, but he's going to figure into that late mix. Maybe he sets up Chris Martin.
Sure.
Maybe he sets up Roberto Garcia. I'm not sure, or Robert Garcia. Sorry, Robert, how that's going to work. But John Gray, I think, is going to be a reliever when he comes back. You get him back sooner that way too. And he's the one who said, I'm going to be coming back throwing 100 miles an hour. Well, he can do that a lot more in the bullpen than he can as a starting pitcher.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he's willing. I mean, that's the great thing. Despite the fact that this is a contract year for him, he said before the season, knowing, that he would be available and amenable to the idea. So we'll see if that really does happen, but it does seem much more likely, certainly, than Kumar Rocker at this point to they view as a top of the rotation guy. That's what he was drafted to be.
Yeah.
And they still want him to be that. Now, the one reason it made some sense to me, and if there is any wavering on the Rangers' part, like we can be almost 100% sure he won't end up in the closer's role from what you heard, but they were willing to put Jack Leiter in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So, but again, as a need, they weren't going to change him to a bullpen guy. But it was just no place to put him. He was going to be at the big league level this year. If there was no place to put him, he'd be there. So anyway, it'll be an interesting thing to watch, but it clearly will not be Kumar Rocker as a closer for the Rangers. The plan now and long term is for him to be a starter and a top of the rotation starter for this Rangers team. So, we kind of expected that. Let's look at the pitching matchup for the next couple of games, these final two against Toronto. And you see there it's Nathan Eovaldi today and then Tyler Mahle tomorrow. Each of the sub 180 or 180 or lower ERA. Jeff, this is, again, after DeGrom yesterday, this is a recipe for success. It is. You need to just come through with a few runs to support these guys and get a couple of wins and win this series and get this homestand off to a great start.
Yeah, and I guess looking at that, the math in my head earlier was a little wrong. DeGrom will pitch Sunday, but he'll have 1 day of rest instead of
he'll have an extra.
He'll have an extra day, nevertheless. A couple people here. CJ, I don't think it's a bad option for him. I don't know why Chris Young would be so upset unless it got Rocker upset. I think that's part of it. I think the player and the agent got upset, and so it was extra hassle for Chris Young. Gallagher Champ, a little more cynical, was probably pissed about Rocker possibly finding out about stuff they hadn't discussed with him first, let alone planned. I'm just judging by their reaction yesterday. You had to be there. I don't think they talked about it.
Yeah.
I really don't think they talked about it. So anyway, all right, there's the bell.
Interesting thoughts. We appreciate you as always. We've got the cleanup segment coming up, and we'll get to some more of your thoughts too. We want to run through those and make sure we address each and everything you're saying through the chat. We always appreciate you doing that. The cleanup segment comes next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. You can always tell when Jeff and I are both headed to the ballpark.
That's right.
Because we generally don't wear merch, at least not until they get us those DLLS polos.
I wonder if we can just make one ourselves.
We probably could. It's probably copyrighted, but Tom Grieve used to do that. He'd go just take a Rangers logo and say, make, and they'd say, we can't, Mr. Grieve, it's copyrighted. And he's like, make it. And they did. So, but anyway, we'll look forward to the DLLS polos. In the meantime, you should get yourself a DLLS t-shirt, get the flag, get the mug. We know those stars shirts are selling like hotcakes. The Moose one is great. And of course, the Finnish Mafia is great. Get one today so that you can support this team and help them to victory tonight. We love all the merchandise that we have at store.allcitynetwork.com. You're going to really appreciate these shirts and anything else you get there if you just go out to store.allcitynetwork.com and buy it.
Yeah, and if you become a diehard, as we tell you every day, you get a shirt for free.
Anyway, yeah.
So it's $79.99 for 1 year, so that's $6.50 a month, and the free shirt, which is valued at $34.99. So yeah, it's such a great deal. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you guys in a little secret. If you're sitting there right now listening, thinking, all right, today is the day I'm going to do it, wait till tomorrow. I'm not going to say anything else. Just trust me.
Wait till tomorrow.
But anyway,
we wouldn't steer you wrong.
If you can't control yourself and you do it today, or if you want to do it tomorrow, great coverage of the 4 major teams. We've added some Wings coverage in there. We wanted to add colleges, so become a diehard today. You won't regret it.
We do agree. I do agree, and we do appreciate you, each and every one of you that have become diehards. We're converting a lot. We want to convert more, and starting tomorrow, I think we really will. Okay, that was a tease, as we say. Quickly through some of the stuff in this in the cleanup segment, so we can get to your thoughts. So Tani through to live hitters, Jeff. They had kind of a 5 batters who actually simulated at bats. It wasn't just BP type stuff, but they were actually simulating at bats, and they were drawing walks, and they were grounding out, and whatever they would do. And you know, he was great. He was throwing 97. Mm-hmm. He threw pretty much all of his pitches, and you know, it looks like he's on track to become that two-way player for the first time for the LA Dodgers, which I know has got to be an exciting prospect for them. By the way, he hit leadoff home runs in each of the last 2 games, and I think he's at 19 bombs for the year.
Yeah, he's pretty good, and you know, it'll be interesting to see though how the Dodgers navigate this rehab.
It will,
because he has to go out and pitch in games. You know, he can't just throw 6 innings simulated games. You know, he needs to go out and pitch and experience stuff, feel the adrenaline, if you will. So if I were you guys, I would kind of monitor the Frisco schedule. You know, because
when's Vegas here?
The Dodgers AA affiliate is Tulsa. So will the mighty Tulsas be coming to Frisco anytime soon? June 24-29. They are at Riders Field. So that could be an opportunity for maybe to see Mr. Ohtani pitch in a rehab start. I don't know. I was with the boy and wife. We went to Oklahoma City for baseball over the weekend, and we went to the Comets. They're now called the Comets.
Oh, the Comets.
Went to a Comets game against the River Cats of Sacramento. The Dodgers are Oklahoma City is the Dodgers AAA affiliate. So maybe you could head up to OKC. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen the Round Rock schedule. Maybe they'll appear in Round Rock during this time. So there might be some opportunities to watch Ohtani rehab live in our state and even in our area.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
all of it very drivable. Round Rock, Oklahoma City, or obviously up to Frisco. So anyway, it's still an amazing story, and it doesn't seem like he's missed a beat despite having a second elbow surgery on that right elbow. Did you hear about Marcelo Meyer?
I know who he is.
Got called up.
Okay.
He to the Red Sox.
Yes.
And he's like the number 2 prospect in their organization, and he is the number 7 or 8 in baseball right now. Great prospect. He got called up over the weekend, and he couldn't find his car keys.
Oh boy!
So he had to have one of the clubbies at Worcester.
Oh yeah,
drive him Worcester. The Woos had to have one of the clubbies drive him to Fenway. And it was a doubleheader. It was one of those where he got called up for the second game of the doubleheader. So the clubby drives him, and they're asking him when he gets to Boston. And so, what about the keys? He says, "Oh, I haven't had them for about 3 weeks. It didn't really bother me before, but now I really need them because I got the call up." So unbelievable. Just like, yeah, it's all good. I can't. Can you imagine for 3 weeks? You don't have your car.
No, it's kind of kids these days. Like
boy, it
like I was talking to one of Henry's friend's dad the other day, and he's talking about his daughter's old enough to drive. She's going to be a senior in high school, and she only now has her permit. She just didn't want to drive.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you, crazy?
I know.
I couldn't wait.
We were dying.
I couldn't wait.
I swear, it was like freedom. You know
exactly,
And these kids look at it like it's a chore. Like, mom and dad have always driven me around. I kind of like that.
They might.
I have a chauffeur, right? Yeah. So, all right, that's our fault as parents. We're driving you around too much. But anyway, so the kid, anyways, I don't know what he's gonna. I was thinking that's a prime opportunity for a youngster to get himself a car deal up there in Boston.
No
but we'll see what happens there. So yeah, that I just thought that was, like you say, that's so typical. Do we have the Osuna call-up video, Prophet? Yeah, we were going to show this Sunday, but and you've heard the story. He was told, by, is it Josh Jones, that he's in trouble. And Josh Johnson, thank you.
JJ, funny guy.
Yeah, and you're in trouble. Skip wants to see you. You're in trouble. Get called to the office as soon as what did I do? What did I do wrong? But he was worried. Here's what ensued when he got to the office.
You're in a different ballpark all the time, okay? But in Chicago, the lights are really good. And in Arlington, there's a roof, so you're probably not going to lose any balls in the sky, okay, when you're playing there, okay? So when you go to Chicago tomorrow to join the Major League team, we're all behind you, buddy. All right? So congratulations. You're going to big leagues. Thank you.
Oh! What do you think?
I don't know, my hands are ready. Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you. Call your brother, all right? Yes, thank you. Tell him I love him. Yes, thank you. Miss him.
Congratulations, man. All right. Yeah.
That's great. You go in there thinking you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And you get that kind of news. And I'm glad it was on camera so that we could all enjoy it.
Yeah. And that was Josh Bonifay, who was in the seated next to him. He's the farm director. So you walk in, the farm director and the manager, and you've been told you're in trouble. I might be a little nervous too. Doug Davis is the manager down there. And Round Rock is at Oklahoma City June 17 through 22.
Okay. So
you'd have to drive to Oklahoma City. Bricktown Ballpark, I think it's called. Nice. It was fine. Beer's expensive.
Is it?
It was a little high.
Wow.
However, on Tuesday, it's cheap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So we want to remind you, first of all, happy birthday to the Hall of Famer, Eric Nadel.
Oh, yes.
Our buddy Eric is 74 years old today, and we want to wish him a happy birthday. And, of course, in honor of his birthday for the past 13 years now, or this will be the 13th year, where he has a birthday benefit concert. And it's gotten so big that it's moved from where it's always been at the Kessler to the Longhorn Ballroom. It's this Thursday. Doors open at 7 o'clock, and you definitely want to get yourself some tickets to go support a great cause, Eric's mental health charities that he's always in such a great supporter of, and see some great music. He is always on the cutting edge of finding really great young talent. So Longhorn Ballroom, Thursday night, your chance to celebrate Eric Nadel's birthday with him. Happy birthday to Eric Nadel.
I tell you what, for 74, damn.
Yeah.
Looks good, gets around good.
Yeah.
Voice
sharp.
Strong still.
Voice is super
mentally
strong.
Sharp.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a surprising number if you don't know anything of, you just know
if you
Eric
just watched
talking to
him.
the guy.
Yeah.
Like when he was here on the other show, I didn't think I was sitting next to a 74-year-old.
I know. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was 73 at the time. But
No.
you get my point.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're looking at now, he's like 75. You're going to keep going. And again, that's the cool thing about doing baseball. You can keep doing it kind of as long as you want. It's still fun. And he's still having fun. He's having more and more fun lately, because of various changes they've made to the scheduling, and doesn't do every game and things like that. So, in fact, I think he told us on the show that day, he doesn't really see any end in sight.
Yeah. And he had the issue with his eyes a few years ago that he got fixed, and then
had the mental health.
He's very open about the mental health situation, which he was able to get that squared away, and he's now called the World Series last out.
Yep.
Which he had waited a really long time to do. So he's already in the Hall of Fame, Rangers and National Baseball Hall of Fame. So not a lot more to do except to have fun, and if you listen to the broadcast with him and Matt, they're good, they're entertaining. It's still high quality production, and he's right in the middle of it.
Yep, very current, very current. So Ranger 206, we like you. First of all, saying this channel is the best. Thank you, Ranger. Is that a 206? No, it's 205. Sorry, my bad. And then also, I like your prediction. I mean, look, that'll help talk me off the ledge if the Rangers get going tonight with a 7-2 victory. And truthfully, in many ways, we'll hope that that's without Corey Seager. Give him a couple more days, which would be 3, counting the off day, and then bring him back for the weekend. But we'll see how all that works out. Is there anything else we have missed in the chat over here, Jeff?
I don't know. The roof is going to be closed today. I know that's got some people a little upset about it.
It seems like a day where it could be open.
I believe I shared this. Some of the writers were joking around, although pretty serious. Over under September 10th, the next time the roof is open.
Yeah.
And I took the over. It was in that middle of that week, maybe the last homestand where it was scorching hot. So maybe that was what led me to think that, but it looks like, the temperatures are going to be pretty much in check this week. They're not going to be too crazy. The question is the rain threat. And tonight it says Weather Channel here, it says it's only 2%. So I don't know about that one. Tomorrow though, evening thunderstorms. Thursday, there's a chance of rain. It doesn't matter. Friday, chance of rain. I wouldn't be surprised. Saturday gets to 88, so maybe that's too hot.
Yeah, that's too hot.
Maybe Friday.
Yeah,
maybe Friday.
But you say there's a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night, because tomorrow night the weather,
tomorrow
the heat's not supposed to be bad.
Thunderstorms.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
I still don't think they've had a game where they've started with it open and been like, "Oh shit, it's going to rain. We got to close it."
Yeah, and that's allowed. I mean,
you are allowed.
It is allowed.
I've
seen it happen in Seattle all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So I was sitting there because it's their roof comes from right field all the way over to the third baseline, And the photo well where I'd sit when I was doing the sidelines for the Rangers is right there, right next to the third base dugout. I'm just getting pelted with rain, and I'm watching that damn roof go. Okay, good. In here in a minute.
Anytime now.
That's gonna dry me off. So anyway, they all move fairly fast, but not when you're getting pelted with rain. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's show. We appreciate everybody in the chat so much. We appreciate you keeping us honest and hanging out with us. Tomorrow, it's a post-game show. So we're scheduled for 9:45. Jeff will be at the Ball Yard. Prophet and I will be here. It's a post-game show tomorrow, and then we're back on Thursday at our normal 1 o'clock time. Maybe we'll be talking about the beginning of a win streak, and I will be able to at least take one damn foot off this ledge. All right? Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.